So when you think about the ancient Greek afterlife, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably Hades, right? A pretty gloomy, shadowy underworld. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? Not even close. The truth is way more complicated and, honestly, a lot more fascinating. We're going to take a journey into the Greeks' ever-changing beliefs about the soul, and our guide is the incredible foundational work of scholar Erwin Rohde. Oof, just listen to that. That's the ghost of Achilles himself from the Odyssey. It is bleak, isn't it? And it just perfectly sums up the main Homeric view that any life, literally any life on Earth, was better than being a mindless shadow in the underworld. So this is our starting point. This is the official story. You know, the epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, they were basically the Bible for Greek culture. They laid out this really clear, almost streamlined picture of the world, the gods, and yeah, what happens when you die. And for a lot of people, for a long time, this was the final word on the matter. Okay, so in this official version, your soul, your psyche, it wasn't really you, not the you that you know. It was more like a weak echo, a flimsy dream image of you with no real strength, no memory, no consciousness. The moment you died, it just kind of fluttered away to Hades, totally cut off from the world of the living. To put it bluntly, it was powerless and, well, pretty pointless. But here is where it starts to get really interesting. The world Homer describes seems so rational, almost weirdly free of the kind of ghost-fearing superstition you might expect from the ancient world. But if the soul was really just this harmless, pathetic shadow, why on earth did the Greeks perform such elaborate, sometimes even gruesome, rituals for their dead? Something doesn't add up. And the poems themselves, they actually contain clues that contradict their own story. And these contradictions, as our guide Erwin Rohde points out, they're not mistakes. No, they're more like echoes. Echoes of a much, much older, pre-Homeric faith, from a time when the dead were considered anything but powerless. Rohde has a great word for these clues: survivals. Just think of them like cultural fossils. They're these old rituals and phrases that are stuck, embedded right in the Homeric epics, but they don't quite fit the official Homeric view of things. They're pointing back to a time when the soul was something to be feared, to be worshipped, and was believed to have real power over the living. So you get this weird split. On one hand, Homer tells us the soul is a witless shade. But then, on the other hand, he shows us these rituals that treat the soul like it's a conscious being that needs to be fed and kept happy. I mean, look at the funeral of Patroclus. Achilles sacrifices animals, horses, dogs, even captured Trojan prisoners, and he offers them directly to Patroclus's soul. So, why would you offer a giant feast to a ghost that can't even enjoy it? And this contradiction is just on full display when Odysseus goes to the underworld. The shades are all just milling around, totally mindless, until they drink the blood from his sacrifice. And suddenly, boom, their consciousness, their memories, they all come flooding back. Now that suggests the soul's senses weren't gone for good. They were just sleeping. And that detail right there, that's a huge crack in the official story of the powerless soul. Now, after the age of Homer, Greek thought didn't just stand still. Of course not. That bleak vision of Hades, well, it turned out that wasn't the only option on the table. New ideas started bubbling up, offering much more hopeful destinies for the soul, at least for a select few. Two major alternatives really took hold. The first was this idea of translation. This was for the real A-listers, the heroes. They didn't die like normal people. Instead, they were just whisked away, body and soul, to live forever in some paradise. Then there was another idea from the poet Hesiod. He said that the men from the very first Golden Age didn't go to Hades at all. They became powerful spirits who stayed right here on Earth. Hesiod called these powerful spirits daimons. And it's super important to get this right. These are not demons in our modern evil sense. Not at all. They were seen as benevolent guardians of humanity, watching over justice and handing out wealth. I mean, what a total 180 from the pathetic, fluttering shades in Homer's Hades. This is a soul with power, a soul with a job to do. But the biggest, most radical change in thinking came from way outside the mainstream. It came from the wild, ecstatic cult of a Thracian god named Dionysus. And this wasn't just about finding a better afterlife. This was about completely rewriting the definition of what the soul even is. The key word here is ecstasis, where we get our word ecstasy. Through wild music and dancing and ritual, the followers of Dionysos felt their souls literally leave their bodies to stand outside oneself. For them, this wasn't some abstract theory. This was a direct, personal, visceral experience of the soul existing completely separate from the body. And that powerful experience led to a truly radical conclusion. The soul wasn't some shadow of the body. It was the other way around. The soul was a divine, immortal being, a little spark of a god. And the body? The body was just a temporary prison. This one idea, born from religious frenzy, would go on to change the course of Western thought forever. This belief got organized and systemized by a religious movement called Orphism, and their doctrine followed a really clear logic. Step 1, your soul is divine, a piece of a god. Step 2, your body is a prison, a punishment for some ancient sin. Step 3, to pay for that sin, your soul is trapped in a cycle of reincarnation, bouncing from one body to another. But, and here's the hopeful part, Step 4, through a pure life and secret rituals, you could finally break the cycle and go home, back to the divine. Now, what's so crucial to understand is that these new ideas didn't just erase the old ones. For hundreds of years, all of these beliefs kind of swirled around together, coexisting. It created this rich, complex, and, often contradictory tapestry of what could happen after you die. Let's just lay it all out, side by side. You've got the dreary Homeric view. That's the default setting, the fate for pretty much everyone. Then you have the VIP options. The heroic path to a paradise island, or the Hesiotic path to becoming a powerful guardian spirit. And finally, you have the radical Orphic path, this long, winding journey of reincarnation for a soul that was actually divine the whole time. 4 completely different answers to the exact same question. And this legacy, this whole jumble of ideas, it didn't just fade away. It basically split into 2 huge streams that flowed for centuries. The idea of an immortal, divine soul, that got picked up and explored by philosophers like Plato. And at the same time, the focus on ritual, purification, and a happy afterlife, that fueled the explosion of popular mystery religions that spread all across the Roman Empire. So the Greeks, they never really landed on one single final answer. Their true legacy is the debate itself, which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? From the idea of a shadowy ghost to a powerful guardian to a soul that's part of God, which of these ancient ideas are the survivals that are still, quietly, shaping how we think about life, death, and the soul today?